Welcome to the Dollars and Cents podcast with Wes the Economist and Jonathan the Conspiracy Theorist. We're reporting to you live from the Wave Beach Realty Studios in North Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. Give us a call today at 843-957-3872. All right, guys, welcome back into the Dollars and Cents podcast with Wes the Economist. I'm Jonathan the Conspiracy Theorist. Today, we are continuing our Bible series. We're still slowly working our way through Genesis, but man, I got like 10 questions every chapter of Genesis. I think it's
Well,
it's a lot
that's
to
why you do
unpack.
it, though. Oh
Oh,
yeah.
yeah, yeah, it's a lot to unpack. I mean, it's the start. So like I feel like I have to ask probably more questions in this chapter than any other chapter because this is kind of setting.
Oh no, it gets a lot more questions come, especially
Okay.
when, especially when you have to tie in what came in before to what's coming in now.
Yeah. Yeah, and then we're gonna have after we get through Genesis, you're gonna have to tell me which book that you want me to go to next, and then I'm gonna
Okay.
start on that one. I'll let you know when I'm through with Genesis. But there's so many questions I have until we even catch up to where I'm at now. So, all right. So where we're starting today is basically where Cain and Abel get mentioned, which I believe you said is chapter 4. I should have wrote that down on my notes, but anyway, um, so in chapter 4, Cain and Abel, apparently, I believe what they're doing is they're giving sacrifices to God one day, and I guess Cain isn't giving enough and he's jealous of his brother because he's better at either his whatever his craft is, or I don't know, he's like a better servant to God. I don't know. He's jealous of him, and and so he kills his brother in the field, and God says the blood cried out to him. Um, I'm assuming that his brother would have ascended into heaven and God would have instantly known what happened, but it doesn't mention like what happened when he died. And I'm trying to get a full grasp of why he killed him and how he even knew, because nobody had ever died, how he even knew that death was possible. So I'm kind of, if you can unpack a little bit of this for me.
It's really good questions. The Let's back up a minute though. It's not that he was giving more or not giving enough. They both were to bring in their sacrifices, and and the one brings his best. Doesn't mean he didn't say he brought more. He brought his best. The other one didn't bring his best. He kind of brought what was not left over, but it wasn't the top of his field. So Abel brought in not enough. Cain brought his best to give God, and that's where the difference was. And I've heard people argue that, trying to think what Abel brought in. I think it was fruits and vegetables.
I think so.
And then, excuse me, Abel, that was, yeah, Cain, and then Cain brought in fruits. No, Cain brought in fruits and vegetables. Abel brought in the fat portions from the firstborn of his flock. The Lord found favor at Abel of his offering, but on Cain and his offering, he did not look with favor. And again, most people believe that's because he didn't bring his best. He
Hmm.
didn't bring what would be considered the top of his crop. Not that he brought more, that he brought less, but just it comes down to the heart. And you're going to find that this through the Bible. It's all about the heart. It's all about where are you at? What are you pursuing? Are you putting God first?
Hmm.
So that's why there was there was a difference, and God did kind of bless Abel more because he felt like Abel had sacrificed more. As
Okay.
there's actually a parable in the New Testament I always draw attention to when we're talking about this. And it's when Jesus is in the temple and all the rich people are coming in and they bring coins into the temple to give their offering in the back. And the offering box was metal. So when they would pour their coins in there, it made a huge noise and everybody knew that somebody was giving a lot of money. So Jesus basically said, they're getting their reward, they're getting seen as giving money. So people are like, you know, um, look at what those people are giving. But then this widow comes in and only gives two, and it's called mites, but basically it was 2 cents. And those 2 cents was about all she had. And Jesus says, in the KJV, I'll go back to KJV for you. Verily, verily, I tell you that she's given more than anybody else. And the disciples are like, what do you mean? She only had two little coins. He said, but they gave out of their abundance. She gave out of her scarcity, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And I always think of that when I'm reading the story.
Yeah, it makes sense.
And so he was jealous. And so I'm not sure. That's a very interesting question about nobody had died up till now. And I'm not sure if that's true or not. The Bible doesn't tell us. We know at this point, Adam and Eve have had a lot of children. In fact, when we see Adam die, he said he had had many sons and daughters. So it wasn't just Cain and Abel. Cain
Hmm.
and Abel are there. I don't think it gives us a idea of how old they were at this point. Because again, they lived, or Cain lived, hundreds of years. Abel would have two. So I'm not sure exactly what the timeline this fell out. So I'm not sure nobody else has died yet, but this is the first death we see in the Bible, and it being a murder, literally cold-blooded murder. Um, and something else you said, him going to heaven. You have to understand, there's not a heaven yet. There is no heaven in the Old Testament. You have Sheol. Sheol is the afterlife in the Jewish custom, where you have a Hades and a paradise, and there's a gulf in between them that nobody can go back and forth. So when people would die, their souls would go to Hades, where there was torment, or they would go to paradise. The ones in paradise, I believe, personal opinion, I believe when Jesus died on the cross, he went to paradise and took those people to heaven. They would be the first people to go to heaven. But at this point, we don't really have a heaven. Um, so as I read, the blood cries out to him. I'm really just, God's seeing the result of the first sin. We're starting to see that corruption kind of creep in.
Got it. Okay. All right. Okay. So God hadn't created heaven at this point, is what you're saying. So there was just a separate place called, some type of paradise.
Sheol,
She-Roll. Oh,
Sheol, afterlife.
okay.
One
Okay.
side
It's
being
not mentioned
paradise.
in
One,
the Old Testament?
yeah, Sheol. Yes, it is mentioned
Just
in
not
several
yet.
places. Not yet,
Okay.
not yet.
Okay. All right.
And the
Okay.
clearest picture Jesus gives in a parable, excuse me, not, I don't think it's a parable. Some people say it's a parable. I don't think it's a parable. I think in the New Testament, when he talks about the afterlife before the resurrection, he gives us a clear picture of that.
Got it. Okay. Okay. All right. This one's going to be related to them as well. So Cain says that he's worried. Obviously, after murdering his brother, he knows people are going to find out, and he's worried about his own life, which does imply there's a lot more people out there at this point
Yeah.
because he's worried about his own life. So you kind of answered, yeah, you kind of answered my point there. But he's worried that people will try to slay him. So God says that anybody that takes vengeance upon him will have vengeance upon them sevenfold, and there's a mark put upon Cain. So God is protecting him after he murdered his brother. And I guess you've already answered this question, but if Adam and Eve only have two sons and there are four people on Earth, who would there be to kill him? But obviously there wasn't.
Yeah.
Uh,
Right.
and then in the next chapter, why is it saying that Cain finds a wife? I feel like we left out a big part of the story here because now all of a sudden there's a huge human population.
There's a whole lot of story missing here. I
Okay,
mean,
all right, so I'm not
there,
crazy.
no, 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 and a lot of stuff
Okay,
going on. I mean, and you think hundreds of years. I mean, you go back. These people living 800 or 900 years. Go back 800, 900 years from now. I mean, you're talking about 12, 1300 AD. There's a lot of things that happened in the
yeah,
hundreds of
you're right.
years.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Okay, um, all right, uh, I think I know the answer to this, but I think it's important to talk about it. Explain to me why God wants to protect him after he murdered his brother and would strike more vengeance upon somebody taking vengeance upon him.
Because it's God's place to take care of things, not
Hmm.
ours. This comes into play. This story can come into play as we talk about capital punishment and those things here in our present day life.
Hmm.
We obviously we have a lot to add to this because we were given Moses was given the law. He was given the Ten Commandments, but when you get to Exodus, you will see there's a lot more to the law than just the Ten Commandments. That's kind of the quote unquote top 10.
Hmm.
But there's books, I mean, chapters upon chapters of different laws to to enforce on the Israel nation that people don't really realize.
Got it. Got it. Let's see. I'm trying to think if I have any other story. I guess the only other question. So yeah. So obviously this chapter kind of it does skip a lot of time, and it's like all of a sudden he's out here. He's found a wife. He's living life.
Yep.
And then Lamech comes around along, which I found out. I did a little research. I thought this was the same Lamech that was mentioned earlier. This is not the same one that's like related to Noah. This is not. It's not the same one, according to what I was told. But anyway, this guy has two wives, and he tells them that he has killed Cain, and he seems to know that there was a mark upon him that he was going to get this vengeance upon him. So I'm not sure why Cain gets murdered, what the point of it was, and why this guy decided he was going to go brag about it to his two wives or whatever, knowing that he was going to get all this, know that the
Well,
mark was upon him.
well, you're following one lineage here. If you go into verse 17, you will see Cain made love to his wife, and she became pregnant and gave birth to Enoch. Enoch, you know how you want to pronounce it.
Yeah,
Cain was building a city. He named it after his son Enoch. Enoch was born to Enoch was born Irad. Irad had, and I cannot say these names, Mihajal.
yeah, there's
Mihajal
all
was the
that crazy.
father of Methuselah. Methuselah you should recognize. And
Yep.
Methuselah was the father of Lamech. So Lamech is actually Cain's, what is that, great grandson.
Hmm. Well, he
And
killed him.
he married two women. And then we follow that on, and you can see, um, yeah, Lamech. Yeah, I'm trying to see where he kills him at. Pipes Hill has son, forged tools of bronze. Lamech said to his wives, Adam, listen to the wives. I've killed a man for wounding me, a young man for injuring me. If Cain is avenged 7 times, then Lamech 77 times. So what this is saying, that's good. I've never really stopped to read this. And that's the neat thing about going back through the Bible again and
Hmm.
again. You find stuff. So Lamech is telling his wives that he killed a man for wounding him, a young man for injuring me. So he's not talking about Cain. He's talking about a younger man. If Cain is avenged 7 times, then Lamech 77 times. So 10 times what Cain was for what he'd done, I guess. Because that's what it ends. It doesn't say anything else. Then it goes back to Adam, where they have another son named Seth, who we will follow.
Yeah, I
God,
know. Yeah, yeah, there goes through a whole crazy bloodline that there's no way without a family tree I'd ever be able to keep track of. I'm sure people have studied the crap out of it.
oh yeah,
I was
and
like, okay,
this is just the start of it. This is
yeah,
not very hard compared to what you're going to get. Where you
right,
probably already read
yeah.
it. This is saying I never noticed this. Lamech said he killed a young man for injuring him.
Okay, so I just misinterpreted. I thought he was saying he killed Cain.
If Cain is avenged 7 times, then Lamech 77 times. So interesting.
Yeah. Um,
There's no other unless it comes back in the Old Testament later. There's no clarification of who he killed or why he killed him, or well, he says because he wounded him, but I mean, there's no more story there.
yeah, yeah, and
And
then
then it jumps back over to Seth,
yeah,
and another child in place of Abel. Um, since Cain had killed him, Seth also had a son named Enosh. At
yeah,
that time, people began to call on the name of the Lord.
yeah. Um, and then Adam, it looks like I made a note that this man lived to 930. Good for him.
Yeah,
Good.
we'll get to those. We'll get to those those different ones here shortly. I'm not sure if we'll get to them on this series of casts, but it's
Yeah,
interesting to see.
yeah.
But that's chapter 4. So want to move on to chapter 5?
Yep, because my next question will start with chapter 5, so we'll wrap this one up and we'll get
Yep.
into Genesis chapter 5.
All right, sounds good. We'll be right back. We'll be back on
Yep.
the next episode.
Yep.
Are you looking to buy a home in North or South Carolina? You need to reach out to Wave Beach Realty today. We are a family-owned company with over 10 years of experience in North and South Carolina and operate along the Grand Strand. Give us a call today at 843-957-3872. That's 843-957-3872.
All right. Well, now it's officially time to introduce my book, Econ Sense, Economics for Everyday Living. You can actually find it by going to my website, econsense.us. If you go there, you'll see there are links to Amazon where you can pick it up, just a paperback, or if you'd rather have the ebook, you can go to Innovative Ink Publishing and care of Kendall Hunt Publishing Company, where you can get the print or ebook. And while you're on that website, you can also check out my other podcast, Econ Sense, which I have several different series that go by. You can find it on Spotify, Apple Podcast, and YouTube. Email me at west.the.economist@gmail.com, and I look forward to hearing from you.
Thanks for listening to the Dollar and Cents Podcast with Jonathan, the conspiracy theorist, and Wes, the economist. Don't forget to send us your topics and give us your feedback at dollarscentsgs@gmail.com. We are available to like and follow on many platforms, such as Instagram and X at dollarscentsgs. You can also like or follow on Facebook at Dollars and Cents, or on YouTube at Dollars and Cents Podcast.